A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting, the greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of Almighty Allah, our universal creator, the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukr to Allah, we are alive and we are here, and we are aware of the guidance that the Quran gives us, that the prophets and messengers have guided us to, especially the final revelator, our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the final revelation, which is the Quran. And we are talking about the message of the Quran, and the message of the Quran is that while human beings are here, there is a context to our being here, and there's a reason that we can live with reason while we are alive here, experiencing ourselves as being on this planet. There is a reason, there's a purpose that is given to humanity. If without this guidance, humanity would be lost, humanity would not be aware. And so we've been speaking about this, that the most important thing according to the Quran that is going to avail you and benefit you is bringing to Allah a purified heart. Bringing to Allah a purified heart. That human beings are in such a state that the hearts of human beings is not pure. The heart is impure. Or human beings are in a state of spiritual distortion, spiritual impoverishment, if you want to call it that after Adam and Eve with Satan, humanity went into a state of insecurity, and living in the state of insecurity, human beings have been sometimes very clearly lost. You can see even today there's savagery that goes on in the world, independent savagery, or collective savagery. I heard today that a international doctor was going to the airport and took the wrong turn on the N2 here in Cape Town and was fatally shot, due to you can't even call it protest, you can call it violence, that has been going on and seems to have been quelled at the moment. But savagery, there's savagery. Human beings don't have to be taught to be savage. It's you can expect a human being who is living without guidance to be in some form of savagery. You understand? That savagery can be a savagery to yourself. There are people who harm themselves and hold themselves back in life. They harm their bodies and cause problems for themselves, their bodies, their lives. There are people who can actually, as we've heard from some people who say that their partners are supposedly learned in deen, in matters of religion, but to the people around them, they are abusive in all the different types of abuse that you can experience. They are in that way savage. So human beings can operate unconsciously, subconsciously live, and we can have these variations of savagery: stealing, cheating, raping, living controlled by lusts, and so on and so forth, of different kind. This is a kind of savagery that human being is involved in to some degree or another. It's either you are unaware, living subconsciously, you're not aware, you are unconscious, you're not really a person who is operating at a higher human level, or you're a person operating at a lower human level, and at that lower human level there's a range of operation. But you can rest assured that within that lower human level, which is what Adam and Eve with Satan fell into, this world, the trance, and Cain killed Abel, and so on and so forth, and humanity has been in this state of insecurity. The Quran tells us until guidance comes to human beings, and until they receive that guidance, they will always be experiencing insecurity. And if you fail to remember Allah, yours will be a depressed life. You won't experience spiritual expression. You will be spiritually depressed. So all of us, including me, especially me, from where I come in my history, the kind of human being that I was, insecure, and the behaviors of an insecure human being that are harmful to myself, to my body, my life, to areas of my life, operating self-defeatingly, life-destructively, being self-neglectful, self-negating, life-neglecting, and it can spill over into violence and savagery of all kinds. That, when they asked the Prophet, who is a believer, who is a mu'min? He said, one whom everybody is safe from. See, one whom everybody is safe from. Themselves included. They're not a threat or danger to themselves, nor are they a threat or danger to others. Today you get people who are rushing to mosque to read the namaz, but smoking away, poisoning their bodies in things that are not tayyib, I might even think it's haram to poison your body, but they will argue it's not haram to poison your body. So, well, then I ask them, is it tayyib to do that? So we can see that human beings live in this sort of normal state until guidance comes to them. And when guidance comes to them, those who receive that guidance will no longer be living in that normal, animalistic, lost, spiritually depressed state. They would become aware, and they would now be different from those who were unaware, those who are living insecure. The secure, those who are aware, are not the same as those who are insecure. So human beings can live insecure as individuals, as couples, in communities, they can live in this lost, savage kind of way to some degree or another. Or they can go beyond this human, lostness, Satan-worshipping tendencies of destroying yourself with your own hands, being, Satan inspires enmity between people and so on and so forth. We can either live in the state that proceeded after Adam and Eve ate of the fruit of the tree that they were cautioned not to, and they went into the state of insecurity, they felt shame and so on and so forth. Either we can continue in that state to some degree or another, or we can go beyond. And in the past few weeks I've been explaining this as a caterpillar analogy, that human beings can live in this insecure state until guidance comes to them. Those who receive the guidance will no longer be insecure. They will no longer live in a way that is to some degree insecure, and in that insecurity a range of savagery against themselves and other people. See, Allah put love and compassion in our hearts. We can feel it for ourselves. We can feel it for others. Allah has given us the ability to claim refuge with Him from Satan the accursed. We can do that as human beings in this fallen state. And Allah is compassionate and merciful, that He knows that we are lost and has given us guidance. And those of us who accept that guidance, we take one step towards Allah, Allah takes 10 steps towards us. That if you remember Allah, He'll remember you. Allah, when we become aware of Allah, we become aware of Allah's awareness of us. Get what I mean? So, human beings that are living in the fallen state who went with Satan, and the Quran says, do not follow Satan whom your foreparents followed, worship Allah. You get what I mean? Don't listen to Satan, listen to Allah. Be more interested in Allah. Until you are aware of Allah, you will remain in this insecure state, and guidance will come to you, you won't receive it, or it won't come to you because you're not interested in it, you'll turn away from it. Or you think you're guided, but you're not really guided. And you will live as this human being that is insecure, in a state of existential abandonment. And your behaviors won't really benefit you, yourself, your life, others. You won't really play a progressive role in your life. You won't really play a beneficial role in your life. You won't really show up as an outstanding human being. The Quran says that the believers are those people who are the best of creation. You get what I mean? And they are the benefiters of humanity. They benefit them. How can you benefit humanity when you're poisoning yourself? You know what I mean? You are a destroyer of your own self. You're not a benefiter of yourself. You're not a benefit. So we have this potential. The beauty of this is that human beings have a potential. It's there, and it can be supported and claimed by us to show up beyond insecurity, beyond being threatened and vulnerable, beyond feeling fear and worry. These are signs of spiritual, signs of spiritual impoverishment. When we're insecure, we feel fear. The Quran says that, in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. But human beings that haven't received the guidance and are still in that, animalistic, savage kind of way of living in life, unaware, unenlightened, these human beings that are not really in their potential, they are not living at this level of potential, so they're not showing up in the world as this different kind of human being that we really are. What we behaving after Satan worshipping, after this, not getting guidance, is really not who we are. See, so we become what we really are, the potentials given to us. And Allah has given humanity the guidance to say, look guys, this is what is happening here. You are in a state that is lost, but I'm merciful and compassionate. It's Satan who threatens you with insecurity and causes you to behave in ways unseemly. You get what I mean? But it's Allah who extends the forgiveness to you and offers to you of His bounty. See, so Satan threatens us. When you live in life feeling threatened and fearful, insecure, anxious, worried, that means you're not in the remembrance of Allah. You're not remembering Allah. Because verily in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance, reassurance. You get what I mean? So there is this potential for humanity. Now I can tell you from personal experience that I came from that savage type, insecure human being, living my life without being aware of what our purpose is here, and Allah has guided me. I have chosen guidance, I've claimed the believer's refuge, and Allah has guided me that today I am not the same way I was. There is a transformation in me. The believers and the non-believers, they're not the same. And I've been saying to you, there's a potential for each and every one of us, with the guidance of the Quran, to actually experience ourselves as secure human beings. And that is our purpose here. That is our purpose. Ibrahim alayhi salam said to his children, do not die except as believers. Do not die except as people who have submitted. See, we can submit. Now, a lot of people think, and this is in my previous lectures available on YouTube and Spotify and Anchor FM, that if you just say La ilaha illallah, that's it, you're a believer. The Quran says that, do you think that you'll say you believe without being actually assessed to see if you really are a believer? The Quran says, don't say that you are believers, for Iman has not entered into your heart. Rather say you are one submissive in religion. Now, to all those women that are complaining about their husbands are so learned in deen, but the husbands are not only not in the smallest of kindnesses, but they're in the greatest of cruelty. The Quran says believers must marry believers. It doesn't say those submissive in religion are to marry those submissive in religion. You get what I mean? Basically, the Quran is not encouraging us to just be submissive in religion. It's guiding us to be a believer in whose heart there is Iman. The heart that has Iman is no longer a heart that is impure. Are you with me? You get what I'm saying? And my heart was impure as your hearts and other people's hearts have been impure and may still be impure to some degree, my heart, whatever it is. But I am not the same human being I was as a non-believer that I am now as a believer. A secure human being is very different from an insecure human being. And it is through our remembrance of Allah, having humanity with Adam and Eve and Satan having forgotten Allah, it is through the remembrance of Allah. You get what I mean? And so there are three types of people. that are in the fallen state, in the insecure state, that have failed to remember Allah. They have failed to become Allah conscious. They are not living lives as believers. All of us start there to, we're all there. Even Ibrahim alayhi salam submitted to Allah. He wasn't born submitted. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam says in the Quran, say, I'm among you the first to submit. And the prophets, the great prophets, submitted. So what do you think about us? Do you think it's just for us to live our lives without remembering Allah, without submitting, without having a relationship of submission with Allah? The Quran is guiding us to Allah, actually being aware of Allah and having that relationship with Allah. And this is what it's about. It's not about religiosity. You get what I mean? A lot of people think it's about like how learned I am in deen and how I dress and this and that and all that sort of thing. It's actually about Allah consciousness. And most people who are into religiosity, they don't realize, they're not aware of Allah. I had a courageous man, who asked me the question, about 2 weeks ago. He said to me, who is Allah? His parents have been teaching madrasa for ever since he can remember. And he asked me the question, who is Allah? Now this is a very good thing, because if you assume you're worshipping Allah, but you're not aware of Allah, how can you really be worshipping Allah? So let me give you the analogy. When people are insecure and either they're not open to guidance, or if guidance comes to them and they turn away, they remain insecure. Our purpose on this planet is to receive guidance and awaken to our secure self and live a transformed identity in a transformed reality, showing up differently from the way we were. We are to take steps towards Allah and have Allah take those 10 times steps towards us. Every day we are to feel more and more secure. We are to prostrate, the Quran says, and draw closer. We are to actually worship Allah, which is to presence Allah in our lives. When you are living in this fallen state, insecure state, you have not presenced Allah. You have not remembered Allah. And you're not experiencing Allah as remembering you or presencing you. It's very scary. You feel alone. You feel threatened. You feel worried. You live your life trying to make sure you got enough money or making sure people like you, whatever it is. You don't really know there is Allah to have a relationship with, and you're not establishing and supporting that relationship with Allah. You have a relationship with the people of this world, the things of this world, You live like this world is forever. You live like you are forever. These are indications of being in the trance, satanic trance. When you live worshipping Satan, you do not have a relationship of submission with Allah. You get what I mean? So the 3 types of people that we are, until guidance comes to us, and until we submit, is the first one is the denier, the concealer, kufr, kafir. That person says there's no such thing as God. I can't see where is God. There's no God. I don't believe in God. The kafir is in their minds arrogant, really deeply identified with the satanic self, really identified with the part that is denying. He doesn't want to see that I was not and here I am. I was born. I will die. This world before, this world is, it became. This world will cease to be, or at least before I was at the very top, before other people are in this world, they became and they leave this world. You get what I mean? They're not really becoming aware. They're just so lost in their mind, arrogant and not humbled. They think they exist. This is how Satan is, tempts people to tell them, you know everything. There's no God, you can't find it. Where's God, him, her, whatever? There's no God. So there are many people who live in complete denial of the fact that we are created beings in a created world, that we actually have a creator, and there are many people not really aware of their creator. They just live with life. Maybe people like that. They just carry on past the days until their death and try to make sure that life is not painful or hard, or they just try to make sure in this world, they get lost in this world. Let's make more money, more fame, show off this, that, whatever, who knows. And sometimes they might be just generally good people who are unaware and they do their best to live in the world, but they don't have iman. Their hearts are still insecure. They're still feeling worried. They're still feeling fearful. The friends of Allah, they will never fear and they will never grieve. See? The friends of Allah, those who are drawing closer to Allah, are aware of truth. They're aware of what we're doing here. There's a purpose here. For the people who are deniers, they just think it's about survival. It's all about my body. It's all about my thinking. It's all about my personality and what's in my life. It's all about that. They get lost in their personality, in this physical world. They get lost in their thinking. They don't realize it is because of Allah there is a physical world. Allah, who is beyond the physical world, has created this physical world, that we have a physical body, that we have a mind that is given to us because of Allah. Because Allah is, we have a physical body, they can't get it. Because Allah is, we are children of parents, we are parents of children, we are spouses of partners, partners of spouses, we are employers, employees, whatever role we play in life. I'm a teacher, student, whatever it is. These roles that people get lost in, it's all about the money, it's all about the work, it's all about the business, it's all about the family, that's why the Quran says, neither will your family or children avail you, nor will your money or business avail you, except those who bring to Allah a purified heart. So many people are unaware of truth, they're unaware of Allah, they don't know there is Allah to have a relationship with, so they don't have a relationship with Him. They just live in this life spiritually depressed, and they just carry on trying to make the most out of life, and they're going to be sadly disappointed upon their death to realize that they have lived and the world was created to see who will incline to truth, who will go humble, who will humble themselves, who will know their place, who will begin to recognize Allah. That's the purpose of this world. The world was created to see which human beings will actually incline to truth. Shukr to Allah who has guided me, and I'm among those who are inclined to truth. And from living my life lost, I was a kuffar too, by the way. Living like that, I'm now living as a believer. I'm a different person with a different level of awareness, different level of experiencing. I'm expressing myself different. I know who I really am. I'm not my body, I'm not my identities, I'm not my mentality. I'm a creation of God. I know who my creator is, Almighty Allah, or universal creator. The one. I am aware of Allah from a perspective of Tawheed. There is only Allah. The oneness of Allah. The onlyness of Allah. Allah alone actually exists. We are created beings in a created world. I am not as important as I think I am. This world is not as important as we think it is. Whatever in this world is not as important as Allah, the creator of the world. Whatever we think is so important to get, Allah's gifts, as valuable as they are, is not more valuable than Allah. See, only a true believer can tell you about Allah. Only a true believer can, because a true believer is aware of Allah. I didn't go to madrasa when I was little and got taught stories and ideas in my head to regurgitate to you now. You get what I mean? That's still somebody who hasn't become aware of Allah. If you cannot explain Tawheed, you're not really a submitter. You get what I mean? Only real submitters can explain Tawheed, the onlyness, that we know our place. We are only because Allah is. We can be aware. We who are aware of Allah is that expanded self. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. A little bit of focus on that. But I'm showing you that the deniers, they don't live like this. Right? They just live insecure. They're not feeling that assurance that we have Allah, that Allah is absolutely precious and absolutely relevant, that we are His creation in His care. When they get up in the morning, there's no awareness that this is Allah's world, that we live and we breathe only because of Allah. They're not aware of that. They're not humble, that my existence is not because of me or my parents or because of anybody. Our human existence is because of Allah. And our existence in this world is continued by Allah, through our death and beyond. They're not aware of this. The denier doesn't know anything of what I'm telling you. You get what I mean? And they're not experiencing Allah created us human beings and has given us favors. And, they're not grateful. They don't value Allah. I'm not judging anybody. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's sad. This is tragic. when a human being remains in a fallen state, and the potential that exists within them to live and die as a believer, enjoying a natural life in this world, when a person has the potential to live with iman in their hearts and live as an honorable human being, that a man or woman having faith, iman and amal conducts themselves honorably, whether they're man or woman, for them in this world is a life tayyibun. There's a life tayyibun, and in the hereafter there's a blissful return. This is a potential. Now the denier is like, what's all that? We focused on, what we can see this world. We are our bodies. What we can see in this world is so important. The physical things of this world is so important. What we think is so important. Oh, we, and as in the role as a parent, my family is important. As a husband, my wife is important. Whatever it is. As a father, my child is. As a business owner, you get lost in the world. That's the satanic trance, and they don't know how to submit that. They don't know that there is Allah that we can focus on and feel about with excessive focus and strong feeling. They don't know that we can actually presence Allah in our lives, that human beings have the ability to presence Allah. And when you presence Allah, you will experience being presenced by Allah. You remember Allah, you will experience Allah remembering you. If you don't remember Allah, you will not experience Allah remembering you. You won't feel that happiness of the only real relationship is with Allah. I have a first relationship with the one that created me and created the world before I have a relationship with my parents or my children or my spouse or my family or my business. You get what I mean? People don't know. The kuffar live completely oblivious of what I'm telling you about. Some people say they're Muslims, but that's just for this. I was born in a society, you've got to be in some kind of classification system. But they really just live completely oblivious that there is Allah. And they don't understand Tawheed. They don't experience Tawheed. So the kuffar is one of the three people types who actually continue worshipping Satan. Then comes the associator. Who is the associator? The associator is the one who thinks that there is a power, it's somebody or something in this world or something in their fantasy life, that there's something we can turn to. The denier says there's nobody I can turn to, only myself. I am here, it's only me, my own mind. I can have to figure it out now. What's my purpose here? What I'm doing? It's all about me, my mind. They're lost in their own arrogance. The associator will begin to say, you know what, there is a God. Something can help me. Something in this world. Something in my imagination. I'm turning to somebody or something is called like deification or deities. And they have these ideas in their mind, still insecure, still not aware of Allah. They have these ideas and they have these deities of gods with a small g, gods. And sometimes it can be money. With money I'll be okay. Money, it's like whatever you control by, and whatever you're trying to control in the world. If you control by money, if you control by your husband, if you control by your wife, or you control by your Maulana, guru, you know what I mean? Or you control by somebody, if you are not aware that Allah alone is the authority, Allah alone is that there are no authorities, there's nothing powerful. Allah alone is the one all-powerful. The alone we worship is Allah, and the alone we turn to is Allah. There is nobody and nothing else we turn to in worship, presencing and praising and trusting and thanking. We put our trust in Allah. The Quran says, say to the believers, put your trust in Allah. Allah is sufficient. Allah is enough for you. You get what I mean? Do not despair. It is the disbelieving people that despair. But there are people who believe in deities, in gods. It can be a thing called money, it could be a man or woman. They turn to something thinking that that can save them, that has authority, and sometimes it's just fiction in their mind. They haven't made up thing. People can actually make up things with their hands or make up with their minds some idea of God, and they are following that. So that typically is the associator. Again, there's no judgment, it's only a description. It matters to me not whether people are kuffar or deniers, or whether they are associators or mushrik. It's got nothing to do with me. As long as I'm here and I'm on the path, that's my only focus. And the Quran says, keep reminding the believers, for reminding benefit the believers. So I'm reminding you, if you are believers, that look, can you see, have you come through any one of these paths? Are you still there? You have time before you die to actually experience the transformation into the butterfly. So there are people who associate. You get what I mean? They believe in gods other than God. They turn to that which has no power to benefit them, that which has no power to hurt them, or harm them, or heal them, or they just turn to something or somebody, thinking that something or somebody in their imagination and the world has power or authority. They don't. They associate it. They associate partners with Allah, or they associate power with somebody or something in the world. Shirk, mushrik. You understand? These are grave sins, including the third one. To remain a person in this kind of state is a very grave error. It's a spiritually, fatal error to remain in this way and die in this way. Then there's the people who say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they do not believe. In their hearts is a disease, and they are astray. And Allah leaves them to stray, and that disease is expanded. So you might know people, you might be among them, who say, no, we actually believe in Allah in the last day. But in their hearts there's a disease, like the woman who's talking about a husband learned in deen, but his heart lacks the smallest of kindnesses. The Quran says, woe to those who stand in prayer, but whose hearts lack the smallest of kindnesses. If a description is true, not only is this man who she is talking about, a husband, lacking the smallest of kindnesses, but is having the greatest of cruelty. Get what I mean? This is hypocrisy. This is nifaq. This is being a hypocrite. Where somebody believes that they believe, but they don't really believe. They lie to themselves. They lie to themselves. They think they're lying to Allah, but they're lying to themselves. They're using the word of Allah, they're doing rituals, they're doing this and that, but they're not really believing in Allah. They're not real believers. They are hypocrites. They're lying to themselves. So there are people, I was one of them too, who say, but I believe. And I believe. But I wasn't really aware of Allah. I wasn't aware of Tawheed. I wasn't aware of a relationship with Allah, of submission. I didn't know that Allah is before everybody and everything, and I didn't know my place. I didn't know I was a created being. I didn't humble myself. I didn't know that I'm not as important as I think I am, or people and things in this world are not as important as we think we are, or they are. I didn't know that to choose peace with Allah is first. I didn't know that. I didn't know there is a thing called peace, because when you live in your heart is a disease, and you astray. And these people, they don't want guidance, because they already believe that they are guided. They erroneously believe that they are believers. So what is there? They start judging everybody else. They start thinking, we're better than them. Our group is the right group, whatever it is. And they remain there. And you can begin to see the trauma and tragedy that is befalling them. But they'll say, no, it's Allah's will. It's Allah's will. In the meantime, and then they start teaching things like Allah wants hardship for you, and the Quran says Allah wants ease for you. They start telling people you should worry and live in fear, and this is good. They are hypocrites who say that. They're not aware of Allah. They're not aware of Allah. They start teaching people their perversion, and other people are perverted with them in their perversion, because they're not really aware of Allah. They're not experiencing security when they remember Allah. They're not feeling assured and reassured. They're not really trusting Allah. Let me tell you, as a believer, when I presence Allah, I experience being presenced by Allah. When I remember Allah, I experience Allah remembering me. When I praise Allah, I experience Allah listening to me, hearing me. When I trust in Allah, I experience Allah responding to me. When I thank Allah for what I have and what I can have, I experience Allah giving me more of what I have and what I can have. You see, people don't know. In these three categories, the hypocrite is no different from the mushrik. The only difference is that they think the mushriks are mushriks and they not. The hypocrites are not really aware of Allah. They're not experiencing security. They're not showing up as the butterfly. So when guidance comes to you and you start realizing that you are not aware of Allah, when guidance comes to you and you realize what's going on here, that human beings are in a spell, a satanic spell. Human beings are lost in a trance. They are unaware of Allah. They are to remember Allah. They are to become conscious of Allah. And those who do, they will no longer be insecure. When you start getting the message of the Quran, you start realizing there's another way of living. There's another way of living as a believer. And you can be interested in that other way of living as a believer. Now, these three types of people, they're so continuing who they've been and how they've lived. They're so continuing in their priorities that to get close to Allah is something completely foreign, and they don't want to do it. Because if you do get close to Allah, you will no longer be the same person, insecure. You will no longer relate the same way you related to you, your body, your life, and the world. When you are on the path of human excellence, this is what I call it when I speak to a universal audience. When you are saying that I want to become aware of Allah and experience Allah's benefiting of me. I want to experience being benefited by Allah, that I can't benefit me and nobody benefits me. That potential is there for me to experience being secure. I want to be among those who are aware and respond to Allah's relating to me. I want to become aware of Allah and Allah's relating to me. You get what I mean? Now, not everybody wants to do that, because when you ask the hypocrites about getting closer to Allah, they'll just tell you, make wuzu and read Quran. That's what one woman told me. Even hypocrites make wuzu and read Quran without really saying a'udhu and being interested in its message, and interested in purifying the heart, interested in drawing closer to Allah, interested in the potential that human beings have to show up as honorable human beings, empowered adults, and living life with relationships with Allah, receiving His good in this world and the world beyond, and relating to each other beyond insecurity and in some cases savagery, which is what the women are telling us in the tribe, that their husbands are savages behind closed doors and engage in savagery because the hearts are perverted. In their hearts is a disease, Allah tells us. They are astray and they are left to stray, and that disease is intensified. It's in the Quran about the hypocrites. You get what I mean? So, who actually has the presence of mind in a world gone mad, right? World gone mad, to actually say, I want to establish or become aware of my Creator. More than I want to become aware of me, my hands and my feet, my body, my weight, my eating, my exercising, my money, my children's schooling, and all the things that we think is like the priority. Very few people, because most people are deep in Satan worship, but very few of us, shukr to Allah, there are people who are interested in the purpose that they are here. They are interested in the potential that exists for us. The most of the people just want to perpetuate their identity. They just want to perpetuate the way they've lived and carry on, and the way they related and the way they experienced in the world. Most people just want to continue on the same trajectory of spiritual impoverishment. They don't want to experience Allah as being... They don't want to experience the benefit that Allah is to us, basically. They don't want to really feel secure with Allah. No, I got my money, I'm okay. No, I got my mommy, I'm okay. Oh, I got my sugar mommy or my sugar daddy, I'm okay. I'm okay because I got somebody paying my bills. I'm okay because I got this job. I'm okay because I can pay my own bills. You get what I mean? This is how, when people are lost and guidance comes to them, if they accept the guidance and start realizing, okay, I think I haven't been exposed to this type of thing before. I think maybe I grew up in an ocean of hypocrites. Maybe, I don't know, but maybe, just maybe, that you may be among the very few people who can hear guidance and who will respond to guidance. Maybe, I don't know. You will be one of those people who will be saved. Who will be really saved, who will really realize the purpose for me being on the planet is not to survive. It's not to make sure I don't experience discomfort. That is Satan telling you. Satan threatens you with insecurity and causes you to behave in ways unseemly. The Quran tells us it's Allah who offers forgiveness to you. When you become aware of Allah, you become aware that His mercy is upon us. The guidance is there. He gave us the guidance that is the Quran. He's telling us about its potential. He's telling us that we can experience ourselves as being secure. We can operate in a spiritually benefiting way as believers. So the believer and the non-believer in the three different types, in the variations. Don't ever think a hypocrite is a believer. Not everybody who talks about God is really aware of God. Only the believers, the real people who are aware and experiencing Allah consciousness, they are believers. And the Quran says among all people, they are believers. They are believers among all people. People who are really conscious of their Creator and the nature of their Creator. People who are really responding, not only recognizing Allah, not just saying, I believe in God, I think there's a God and all that sort of thing. That's deification. That's ideas in your head. That's not really submission. That's not really awareness and drawing closer to Allah. That's not really presencing Allah and experiencing the praising of Allah, that you can trust in Allah and thank Allah. So most people don't know. Most people have been trained into religiosity. Just do this, say this, how many times, like this, like that. As long as you do these things, you're okay. This is a world of Islamism. If you're an Islami, very sorry to break this to you, but maybe you can accept the truth. Maybe you will realize, oh my God, I am an Islami. You know what I mean? I'm not really aware of Allah and experiencing myself as responding to Allah's beautiful nature. I'm not really, a person who is listening to the Quran in a way of gleaning understanding from. The Quran is not poetry, it says itself. And yet people say, mashallah, mashallah, what a wonderful recitation. But they don't say mashallah to the guidance that is given to us there. But that's what the book is. It's a book of guidance. And I'm registering that guidance and being transformed by that guidance. I'm not continuing in the fallen state. I'm not continuing Satan worshipping. I'm becoming aware, and as I'm becoming aware, I'm expressing as a believer because I'm experiencing security. So there is this potential for us. I'm living it. I've been teaching others about living it too. You can show up in the world beyond being an insecure, needy, greedy, lost in this world, thinking only about from your personality. You can actually humble yourself before Allah and be Allah conscious. That exists. There are barriers and blocks in the way. That's Satan. But you can get there if you want to get there. If you don't admit that this is what it's about and you want to get there, human beings will have what they strive for, the Quran says. Allah is in support of our faith. You get what I mean? You take one step towards Him, He takes 10. Allah is giving humanity. Allah is the one who is aware of our condition and is addressing the situation by giving us guidance. Allah is the championing of humanity. People don't know Allah and they don't know His championing of us. They live believing that we should feel threatened and insecure. They deify Allah and they are no different from the associators, and they try to appease Allah. People who make gods, false gods, they deify, they project power onto them, and they think that that which has no power has power, and they try to appease God. So a lot of hypocrites, especially from the Indian background, where before that idol worshipping and deification was very normal, continued into this, what we call as Islamism, deities, projecting power, not really becoming aware of Allah and His power. We can become aware. Actually, we can become aware and experience Allah's power to the extent that Allah is, an all-powerful, all-privileging, and has given us these, provisions, and has provided for us, provision for us and has given us potentials and possibilities, has given us people, things and experiences in this world. Allah, we can actually become aware of the one who has benefited us in a way that we can't benefit ourselves. We can actually have a relationship with Allah. We can. I am having one. Woo! Shukr to Allah. It's a great achievement. It's a great achievement to experience being secure. And there are obstacles that Satan is on the way, and you can release them. That's what A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem is. I just want to say something quickly before I end, that we as human beings can actually experience the relationship with Allah and realize sufficient is Allah. Our first relationship can be with Allah before ourselves and before the world. Having that relationship with Allah and recognizing Allah's benefit and experiencing that security, that peace every day, we can then realize that as human beings, Allah gave us the ability to apply ourselves, to benefit ourselves, our bodies and our lives. We can relate to the resources Allah has given to us. And that's what the Quran is all about. The Quran is about humanity waking up to Allah's presence and experiencing awe for Allah's greatness, revering the power of Allah, experiencing adoration for Allah's graciousness, experiencing that rejoicing of Allah's privileging of us. We can feel it. When you're aware, you will experience and you will express and you will enjoy. You will be a valuer. The Quran says Satan stands in the way and renders people ungrateful, not being a valuer. You see, when you're a butterfly, when you're a spiritual butterfly, you are aware and you are valuing. You can see the benefit of things. You are waking up beyond that needy, I just need to avoid problems, I'll do anything to avoid a problem, just tell me what to do, I'm so scared, I'm so worried, you wake up and you start seeing things, you become conscious. You start becoming conscious of Allah's mercy and Allah's, compassion, Allah the giver, Allah the forgiver. You become aware, you start experiencing Allah, the relationship with Allah. You go beyond existential abandonment. You experience His benefiting of you. You feel assured and reassured, and you know that your tayyibun life is ensured. And you then start operating in a way that benefits you, your body and your life. And you start operating in a way where you receive Allah's good in this world and the world beyond. You don't just say, Rabbana atina fid dunya. You actually living as a believer, aware and experiencing that there are potentials and possibilities in this world through my death and beyond. Higher potentials, greater possibilities. And you operate in support of it, of being a benefit to the people. And having the right people be a benefit to you. Being a benefit in the world. This is a wonderful thing humanity has been given. The guidance of the Quran for those who are interested. You get what I mean? So it all begins with A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. That if you listen to the teaching that is the Quran, it tells you that human beings have an option to be among those who challenge Satan's tendencies, who aspire to live in the refuge with Allah. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan. I am among those who choose to live as a believer. It is my awareness of Allah that is my refuge from Satan the accursed. The Quran says, over those who are devout in the worship of Allah, Satan has no authority. You see? So when you're living in this world, it's either you will be aware that Satan is constantly whispering to you until guidance comes to you. When guidance comes to you, you can choose to be among the people who are spiritually strong, who know that there's a way of showing up in the world. You don't want to live as an insecure savage. You get what I mean? To whatever degree. You want to live as a secure, honorable creation of Allah. That's what A'udhu is all about. It's a commitment to the potential that exists for you to demonstrate human excellence. It's the commitment to the possibility of a life tayyibun in this world and in the hereafter. That's A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. But this is not taught. It's the Quran, it's the message of the Quran. People are just saying, mashallah, mashallah, reading it from cover to cover in a language you don't understand. But its message is not received. The Quran says this is a book for those who reason. This is a book for those who reflect. See, people are not taught in madrasas to reason and to reflect. And those who are teaching there, most of them haven't been taught to reason and reflect. They haven't been taught to become aware and experience. The Quran says go out and look and see. Become aware. Become aware. You can become aware. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim means I am choosing to be among those who are aware. I don't want to live unaware. I don't want to live superstitiously. I don't want to live ignorantly. I don't want to live arrogantly. I want to live spiritually empowered. I want to live among those human beings who are honorable, with faith in my heart, honorable. And I'm choosing that. And if you make that commitment, Allah will respond to you. Shukr to Allah. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.